Wrong track. Gang hang. Good morning. My name is Matt Baum.
I'm the Internet's Joe Patrick,
And
we here. We are the time.
We're the two-headed nerd, and on Saturdays we gang hang with the listeners, and it's great. This Saturday, it's been an exceptionally slow news week, so let's just not talk about any news, right? Let's just focus on
right. No news.
We're just going to focus on some nerd stuff we want to get into. And to begin, right before we started recording, we were talking about how Hollywood can't help but take a good idea and flesh it out until it's not a good idea anymore. And that is like when we're talking about the Fly remake that's coming. You've got a perfectly good Fly movie. We don't need to remake it. Don't do it. It still holds up. It looks great. And then we got on the subject of Alien and Aliens. And The Thing, stuff like that.
Well, the Thing remake, which was actually a prequel, answering questions we didn't need answered.
And so,
which then led us to the Prometheus situation.
Which leads us to Aliens versus Avengers 2. Which I have not read yet.
So spoilers for Avengers versus Alien. I imagine Avengers are getting top billing in this situation.
This week,
Avengers versus Aliens #2 came out
Wednesday?
This week?
Yeah.
This Wednesday, yeah. And it's all up in the progenitors or whatever they're called, the engineers. And but you know what? It's Hickman, and if anybody is gonna touch that shit, you want it to be Hickman.
I mean, look.
And he loves that type of stuff, too.
He does.
He does.
I'll bet Hickman loved Prometheus. I'll bet Hickman was like, oh, yeah.
You know,
so much lore.
I haven't revisited it in a long time, and I know your feelings about it, and we don't need to get into that. You've made it perfectly well known, even just leading off this conversation. But there is a pretty sizable contingent of people that are like, Prometheus is good, actually.
I've never met him. I mean, you can say that if you
I've met lots of them.
If you could say that if you want to try and keep the conversation going, but I don't believe it. Sorry.
No, it's true. And like, look, I can't really go with them on that journey because I only watched Prometheus once, ages and ages ago. But there are people out there that are like, yeah, it's a way better movie looking back at it now than people gave it credit for at the time.
I mean,
like, did we need the explanation of where the xenomorphs came from? No. Did we need the xenomorphs to be tied to this, like, whatever grand plan of life and death throughout the universe since the dawn of time? No.
Did we need a 150-year-old man behind it all hiding in the spaceship? No. So much dumb shit.
That doesn't make it a bad movie or a dumb idea. Just because you didn't need an idea doesn't mean it's a dumb idea. And it's okay if you think it's a dumb idea. I'm just saying some people don't.
I don't know. I disagree with some of your logic there. But anyway.
No, I'm saying, like, look, there's all kinds of things we don't need. We didn't need toothpicks that also have floss at the end. But, hey, they're great.
I disagree. They actually work really well.
We didn't need them, is my point. We could have kept just toothpicks and then also flossed.
The metaphor has nothing to do with a bad movie. It is. Brian,
I'm saying that there are all kinds of things we don't need that end up being kind of okay.
Sure. Like perhaps, I don't know, a Gambit film with Channing Tatum.
Oh, are we doing this now? Are we just spinning right into this then?
Listen, there is a finite amount of time and money to be spent on making movies.
Yes.
And we should not waste time on things that we physically, humanly do not need.
I agree.
But who makes that decision, Brian, is my question.
I mean, we got, how did Joker 2 do? It did horribly. We didn't.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing.
You know what I mean?
I'm just saying who decides what we need and what we don't.
But there were people who would say, you know what, Joker 2 is not as bad. It's bad enough.
Quentin Tarantino. Tarantino's on record as loving it.
Here. Like, there are people that think that Prometheus is okay. Fine, but most people don't, and we need less of that. And it's frustrating to see decisions made about, like, it's like the like if we see more Morbius movies because people said they liked it.
Ironically, love Morbius.
Yeah, right. Like that's not good.
How about Venom? How about Venom? For example,
qualified people.
We got
lots of people like Venom.
Three Venom movies, and
lots of people
money.
like those movies, Matt.
They all made money.
I've only seen the first one. Because my son was curious.
Yeah, like I'm not saying they're critically. I'm not saying that they're objectively good. I'm not saying that they're critical successes. I'm saying that people love those movies.
Sure.
And they spend money on them.
People love Skibbity Toilet too. That doesn't mean it's like worth anything or great.
But
okay, not to us because we're not.
But a dumb internet meme is different than a movie that makes $1 billion. You can agree with that, though, right?
No, none of them made $1 billion. But okay.
I think
you know what. You understand my point, though.
I think Venom has a little bit of that, like. Not that 80s after Saturday afternoon schlocky kind of
like
thing.
A trashy.
The first one,
like there's something to it, and I don't have a problem with that every once in a while. But like they spent like $100 million making Prometheus. Like how much did they spend on it? Like so much money,
probably more.
And we like, you know what I mean? We don't need another prequel remake thing.
No.
Like you don't need it. Like, just if you want to do something original and you know what, it didn't work, like at least it's original. Like, but the constant grind of IP stuff over and over and over again is just like nauseating.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
We end up with Aliens Romulus, which is just like, don't worry, it's the good stuff, but we can't get away from that other stuff, and we're still gonna do it. And sorry about that. Like, why? Come on.
Turns out, like you
didn't have to do that.
Like the best boy on the set being like, this movie's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And they're there for 6 months watching this thing get made, and they're like, I can't believe I'm doing this.
The key grip.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't believe I have to do this.
Look, the craft table services people, they know.
Health insurance, but my God. Yeah.
They all know.
So Jim posted in the chat, Venom, the first Venom made $856 million worldwide, which is certainly worth the exercise. Let There Be Carnage, which is Venom 2 Red Venom, made $506 million worldwide. Is it as big a success? No. Is that still a shitload of money? Yeah.
Sure. But I'm not talking about how much money shit makes, because plenty of shit I don't care about making.
I understand, but the people who decide do care about how much.
And I understand that,
money
and
shit
that's
makes.
why the shit gets made, and that's why we could.
And
get
really,
something.
Prometheus is beside the point because we're only talking about a comic,
right?
So, but I mean, I understand the point. It's like, do we need it? No. Is there a chance it could be good because it's Hickman and Assad Ribic? Yeah, sure. Of course.
Sure. I mean, the art's going to be. I mean, who cares what Assad Ribic draws? It's going to be absolutely amazing. I'm not worried about that. And
guys, I went back and looked at the first issue. I think you've got Mobius colored glasses, because that book is bizarre.
It's wild. I don't disagree.
I don't agree, friend, but that's okay.
Not one face looks right in that entire book.
I don't disagree that it's bizarre.
Oh, I think Assad Ribic. I think the weakest thing in Assad Ribic's arsenal of tricks is drawing faces. I think that he draws weird faces.
His face work is weird.
The building's like a skyline with like the colors, and like it's Mobius beautifulness. But then when you get them like arguing and they're in a room and they're all there, and it's like
they've all got those weird like deep set fish eyes.
They do, and like the idea that he turns that in and everyone's like, "Yeah, looks good." Like, no, man, do that again.
I feel like there's certain artists that I just like accept that from. Right? Like, it's like in my mind, it becomes part of their style. You are right. His face is fucking
that
weird.
Means you've turned off your critical brain for that sort
I've just accepted that style, right? Like Mike Mignola doesn't draw human faces at all, but like it works for what he does.
But Mike Mignola's art's way more stylized than Assad Ribic. Assad Ribic is drawing realistic looking.
I would still argue he's very stylized.
More realistic, right? It leans more towards realism than anything Mignola has ever drawn.
Yeah.
Or at least in the last 30 years.
But think about like Richard Corbin's kind of in the middle, right?
Yes.
He's like
Richard Corbin.
His figures are weird looking, and they like that, Hellblazer arc, which I think was a lot of people's introduction to him because it was so high profile, and
hard time.
It's such a fun story, and but everyone's weird, and that's the sort of thing you really got to get on board. Like,
yeah.
I know everyone's gonna look like a giant baby. Okay.
Sure.
They've got their arms.
Everyone's going to look like they are both wet and hairy and bald at the same time.
And
I don't know how that's possible.
Everyone looks like a pervert too.
Everyone is like a slavering pervert. Yeah. All right, so let's put the aliens thing aside because that was just something we brought up before recording. Let's get to what Matt is dying to talk about, which is this notion that a story came out from Ryan Reynolds. He did an interview with whoever, I don't know who, it doesn't matter. But he said essentially that Marvel is obsessed with the idea of Channing Tatum's Gambit because of the reaction to him from Deadpool and Wolverine.
Everyone
now
universally agreed it was a critical portrayal of the character. Very
that's
serious.
not what
Nothing
I
funny
said.
about it.
I
don't know where you're
his
coming
accent-
from on this one, Joe.
Matt,
His-
the response is baffling. I don't get it.
His
I know,
accent
I
is
know.
ridiculous. Like, I am conceding the point that his accent is over the top silly in Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, or Deadpool makes nonstop jokes about it. But if you take the vocalization out, everything that character does in the movie is fucking badass, and he looks great.
Same with Deadpool. Is he a
So-
serious character?
Matt,
What? Everything he did was badass. I mean, look, come on.
I'm saying, like, I don't think that Gambit was in there as a joke. I think that the voice was a joke,
Okay,
but the voice and the character are not one and the same.
fine. Larger discussion. Do we want more of this? And I want to hear from
I
you guys.
wouldn't be
Channing Tatum.
sad about it.
Do we want more
but
of
I
it?
don't know if we want it.
He is squeezed into that suit.
Yeah.
He is bloated, and he looks terrible. Now, is Gambit
I don't
fun to
agree
watch?
with that, Brian.
That's why we.
No.
that's
He
why
looks
we love
silly
Gambit
in
since
that
the
suit.
1990s. Everybody loves Gambit. He's awesome.
They put him in the
Got cool
suit because
powers.
when he wore it, he walked into the room and everyone started laughing, Joe. He looked silly.
Everyone started laughing because the idea of Channing Tatum as Gambit, trying to play Gambit for a decade and a half, has become sort of a meme.
I don't think the
But
entire
you can't,
populace of America
he doesn't
knows.
look like. I don't agree that he looks bad in the suit. I think that the way that they portrayed his powers and his abilities were super cool. And look, the question became on our Discord, like, was Gambit in Wolverine and Deadpool and Wolverine intended as a joke? My stance is no. Was he a little silly? Yes.
I think,
But that's like saying Wolverine is a joke. Wolverine in that movie is not a
Wolverine
joke.
is the
but he's
straight
Wolverine.
man.
It's
He's the
meme
straight
thing. I
man.
think it is a joke.
Yes.
It's a joke that
Right.
yeah. It's a
Cassandra
it's
Nova
only a
is
joke.
also not a
Okay.
joke.
Yes, she's the
Okay,
villain.
Hold on. I think everybody's taking this a little too into a context of we're definitely going to get a solo Gambit.
Well, right.
I'm
No,
looking at,
we're not gonna get a solo
I'm looking
Gambit
at this more that we're going to get at least one more appearance. I think everyone probably knows
Secret
what
Wars,
it's gonna
right?
be.
Something like
It's
that.
going to be Secret Wars. Now, the way that Gambit was shown up, now, is it my personal choice to have Channing Tatum as Gambit? No. But it was something.
This does not look silly to me. I don't understand what.
Let him talk.
Well,
Let him talk.
okay, I
All
will
right.
also
We're
comment
past
on
that,
that
Joe.
since
Let
you're
him talk.
talking about this. The suit itself was fine. Channing Tatum in it is, a little ridiculous, but that was also part of the gag. But my
Yes.
point being, though, is that there's two things going on. Channing Tatum doesn't have to be Gambit, but he loves the character. Did he do a horrible job? I don't think he did. But he did what he was supposed to do in that as kind of the inside joke. Now, what that happened is that now all of a sudden he's super popular because, let's face it, he was one of the more memorable moments of that entire movie.
Sure.
So what does that mean? That means that people are going to want to watch to see more of it. So all of a sudden it comes down to people are either, oh yeah, that's great, or as some of us have been talking about, oh, this can't happen again. It can never happen. We can't have fun.
Right. And I think you can.
We're going to see him in Secret Wars.
We'll see a swan song to the idea.
Exactly.
Of
We're going to see. I can't.
Gambit.
Yeah, I can't foresee Channing Tatum actually signing on to play Gambit for a couple of reasons. One, the dude is 40 years old.
Yeah.
He's 44 years old.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is not happening. He's not going to get a solo movie. He's not going to get
No.
everybody got to pump the brakes a little bit about how ridiculous this is, because I think he's going to show up in Secret Wars. He's going to have probably a badass moment in there, and they're probably going to reboot the universe, and we're going to get brand new actors anyway.
Of
at
course.
This point.
Yeah.
That's my
No,
take.
I agree with you, Damon. I do.
I think if they wanted to do something like the Halloween TV special they did, Werewolf by Night or something, a one-time TV special that is set in the past, completely over the top, ridiculous, made to be comedic, with him speaking that way the whole time and subtitles, it could be hilarious and a lot of fun.
Why set in the past?
Well,
you know what? They keep
can't
showing
set it
leading up
in the
to the
future
point where he
they're
goes
in
into
now,
Deadpool.
unless you're saying he's
Yeah.
in the Marvel universe, and he didn't come back into the Marvel universe with anyone at the end of Deadpool.
I mean, I guess it. You're like a story from the past from his own universe.
Yes, I'm saying Gambit, and you get all these,
that makes sense.
and do it with set it in New Orleans, do the fucking Thieves Guild and all that stupid shit. You know,
Belladonna, come on, baby.
You know what?
Give it
You
to
know
me.
what I want? I want to have canonically short Wolverine in his universe.
I would love it. Yeah, do it
from the bar.
Do it. And somebody proposed Miley Cyrus as Rogue. I think Elizabeth Banks would be a ridiculous over the top Rogue. You know, like, and just go nuts with it. What? She's too gorgeous? What?
Is Elizabeth Banks the host of Press Your Luck, the game show revival? No.
She's incredible. And she's been wonderful in so many movies. And she's
I understand.
a hilarious
that,
comedic actor.
Not as Rogue. No.
What you
somebody
got, Joe?
suggested Emma Stone for some reason, which I guess I don't think is bad.
No.
Oh,
What,
you know
Rogue?
what? You know what? Frank, it was you. Let me find it.
You know, if they do Rogue, and let's just say that somehow gets greenlit, I wouldn't mind them actually having an older Rogue to match Channing Tatum.
That's what I'm saying. Elizabeth Banks is like 42. Yeah. Parker Posey, excellent choice. Age appropriate. She'd be great. Overly dramatic and ridiculous.
That scenery. Totally absurd. Yeah, sure. Okay, let's. You know what? A 20-minute little thing in between episodes on some other show. I love it.
A
2-hour movie.
No,
I'm gonna blow my brains out.
And I don't
think they're going to do it.
I don't want an episodic show.
I honestly don't.
Like, we don't look. We all agreed that Deadpool and Wolverine was going to be this fun romp and is going to be a thing, and they jumped through all the realities, and Deadpool would make fun of it, and then they'd be like, "Thanks." And they did the big thing in the end where they showed, you know, all the Sony movies, and that was fun, and we remember that. Goodbye. We're done. We're moving forward now. And I think for Marvel to be like, no more of that. That just looks like, so we don't have a plan. Oh, we don't.
They're not going to do it.
We're still just throwing shit against the wall.
I think, I think they made enough mistakes where I don't think they're going to also dedicate solo movies to a character like Gambit. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
So Frank sent me a thing on the TikTok. I'm going to see if I can find it.
That was the Batman villains.
Was it Batman villains? Oh, you're right. Shoot. Sorry. Never mind.
Cool story, guys.
It wasn't X-Men. It wasn't X-Men. It was Batman. But that's fun to talk about. We can talk about that too, maybe. But
when does Craven come out?
I mean, look, look. My whole point is, I don't think there was anything about Channing Tatum as Gambit that could not be done in a less jokey way.
You'd be changing the character.
But I also recognize that it's never going to be a long-term thing. The dude is old.
Yeah, but they'd be changing the character. And I don't want to see Channing Tatum's serious take on Gambit. After this, no,
you don't want to see Gambit at all. You hate Gambit.
I don't care about Gambit. That doesn't mean they couldn't do a cool version of him in a movie. I don't think taking his accent away so he's not as funny helps that character at all and does anything for me. I don't give a shit. But I also think when you relaunch the X-Men, we're not going to get Gambit right away. No way.
Nerd bet. I bet you Gambit is definitely part of the original cast of the first X-Men movie.
Nerd bet on. I'll take it. I'll take it.
I don't think they're going to do a first class situation. They don't got that kind of time. They got to get to Wolverine ASAP.
They got all the time they need. Are you kidding me? Otherwise, they're
not going to do it, Matt. We already have X-Men first class.
If they don't have that kind of time,
right?
If they don't have that kind of time, they would have. This movie is in production right now. They're waiting.
I'm saying once the X-Men are in the MCU for reals, we are going to get to Wolverine so fast it's going to give you whiplash.
Mark Stern's with me on this one too. No way.
All right, hey, that's fine.
I think we've learned that lesson.
Mark also asked, which X-Man would you like to see get their own solo film, obviously besides Wolverine?
I
like Magic. What do you guys think?
I like
Ilyana.
I like Magic.
I think Magic is cool. It depends on which take, you know?
And I think you got to establish a lot with Magic first before that. And that's my problem with these solo films. It's like, unless you establish some things with that character, then you're just giving me a solo film and they pick 2 or 3 things that they throw in there and they can feel kind of empty, right? Because if you just, here's her standalone movie, and well, are the New Mutants there? Is her brother there? You know, like, is she connected to the X-Men? You know, like,
it gets into complication. The only characters besides, like, maybe Storm, I could see, like, if they established her enough in the first X-Men movie, and that could start off. I could see
here's a controversial thing. Here's a controversial opinion about the X-Men from your pal Joe Patrick. 99% of them are not solo characters.
That's 100% true.
I'm kind of there.
Which means, like, a Nightcrawler. As much as I'd love to see Nightcrawler on screen, I don't need a Nightcrawler solo movie. I don't need a Colossus solo movie. They don't have that much meat on the bone.
I don't disagree, and I think the same can be said when it comes down to solo series as well. Like when they announced the Magic solo series, I love that character.
It's a mini, though. I think.
No, it's a series. I mean, until it's a mini, but they said new ongoing series.
And like,
the old one,
I thought it was 5 issues.
From the 80s?
I thought it was already 5 issues.
No, a new one coming. A new one that's coming.
Oh,
As
okay.
part of this X relaunch stuff, right? Like, look, I love Jean Grey, and this Jean Grey story is pretty good. Could this Jean Grey story be a backup in the regular X-Men or told in parts in the backup? Sure. I mean, like, I don't know if I'm going to stick around for 30 issues of this. I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. Are you current on it? Are you actually reading it?
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's also not like must read. But I got to jump on stuff for me. When we do solo X titles outside of Wolverine, maybe it's just me, but I don't get fired up. Even Nightcrawler, who I love, my favorite X-Men.
But I don't want. I think at least this Phoenix book has.
It's doing a different
strong thesis. It's got a strong premise. The Storm book, time will tell on that, but I really liked Storm #1. And if there's any X-Man that can carry their own solo title, it's Storm. But I mean, what are they going to do? Are they going to introduce a whole new cast of supporting characters? What's it going to be? What's the book going to be about when she's not storming it up?
Right.
But Joe, they're both like, you're talking about these two characters that are both like currently Omega level. Like, that's why they got Jean Grey off of the Earth. Like, she's so Omega. Oh, yeah.
She's too
that, like, there's nothing. Yeah, they wanted to say, like, okay, well, she's Omega. This is what Omega means. So they put her out into the galaxy or into the universe, and she's out.
So Phoenix is a cosmic book. She hangs out with Nova and fights. She's fighting. I think I saw a cover of an upcoming issue where she's fighting the Greek god Ares, which are Hades. I mean, which is pretty cool.
Ares is in space.
Yeah.
Well, Ares is a Greek god as well.
I suppose. I just don't. I mean, he's on Earth doing stuff, but I don't know.
I know, but it was Hades. It was Hades.
But I mean, to make these movies like, kind of like to bring in the audience, you can't just like drop people into the middle of like.
Totally agree. I totally agree, and it's like when you're talking about characters that we all love, beloved, Nightcrawler, Colossus, even people that love Storm or Jean or whatever, the Beast. How much is there to really mine without getting into weird ass shit that most normal people aren't going to care about?
Right.
My dimension hopping sorceress sister and my reality warping brother, Mikhail. Like nobody wants to watch a movie about that.
Yeah.
Maybe
nobody wants to watch nobody wants to watch a movie about Nightcrawler dating his adopted sister while they were in the Romani caravan.
Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't. All right. I want a mini series about it.
Except for Amanda Sefton's super fan.
I want to dig into it, man. I want a 6-episode mini series, romance, no action. Strictly romance.
I think maybe like they could do a Mystique movie because there's a lot you can do with Mystique. I just don't know if her personality is interesting enough to carry a movie. They would have to convince me of that.
I mean, and like Brian, you pointed out in the chat, they already whiffed on Magic once with the best casting choice you could have made for that character.
Bring her back.
The only really good part in that movie.
Bring her back. Who cares? She's young.
Literally.
It doesn't matter.
Literally.
Do it.
She won't do it again.
They should cast her.
She won't, but I think that they could.
She got to the point where she didn't even want to like half of the movie, the last one that she was in, she wasn't even blue because she refused to sit in the chair for 5 hours.
Oh no, that's
Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah.
That's Jennifer Lawrence.
No, I think they were talking about Magic.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Jennifer
Sorry.
Lawrence was a terrible Mystique.
from the New Mutants.
No.
I did not like it. Rebecca Romaine Stamos was better.
Anya Taylor-Joy as Magic. They could offer that role back to her.
Hold on,
and
real quick.
I don't think she'd take it though. She's a star now.
Let's back up.
That was such a missed opportunity.
I got a hot take that came out. Say that again, Damon.
I said Rebecca Romaine Stamos was better than Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique.
I agree.
I don't disagree.
I get 10,000%.
I don't
That's not
disagree.
Even a hot take.
Yeah,
That take is ice cold, my friend. That's just a fact.
I think that just tells you how bad Jennifer Lawrence's was. You know, it's like if you
so
start
awful.
at like 2 out of 10 and then you go to like -6, like 2 out of 10 is better than -6. So yes.
Right, yeah. On paper, 0 is better than -1, right?
Well, and also look, they didn't do her any favors where they're like, sure, you're sort of evil, but you're also kind of like Charles Xavier's daughter or sister or whatever.
Or something.
And
yeah.
now you're leading
that
the team.
was a mistake.
And it's like, whoa, what? She's like, all right, X-Men, let's go whip some ass. Like, okay, time out.
Yeah, no. It's like you want to do X-Men First Class, and you feel like you need to have some sort of name recognition from the original set of movies. Okay, like other than Xavier, fine. Mystique? No.
Nah.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't the character, it was the actress.
That's true.
like,
but also
how she was then,
also
you know?
making Mystique
I would say
Xavier's
both.
adopted sister is nonsense.
I would say
Well,
both.
not
Both
a
is
smart
bad.
move.
It was a bad choice of actress. It was bad writing, and it was a bad choice of character to do that.
And I think I think X-Men First Class is a good movie. I just think it makes baffling character choices.
I watched it not too long ago,
Like
thinking
as a superhero action movie, I think it's fine.
like I liked this back in the day, and then it doesn't hold up real well, and they introduce all these characters so fast that you can't care about them, and then they kill them so fast that it's impossible to care.
I would have
waste of
loved
time.
like when they did Days of Future Past, they got away with it with Days of Future Past because that movie was all about Wolverine.
Yes,
but I think people forget Wolverine and Michael Fassbender, right? But people I think tend to forget that movie also had they wrote off every other character from First Class. Like they made Havoc like a PTSD Vietnam vet or whatever the hell he was.
yeah. Say what?
Yeah, and where's Banshee? Where's Angel? Where is anybody? Not that I wanted to see more of Angel, but where are any of them?
They had Fassbender and the Xavier guy, like big, very good actors, big stars,
and excellent choices.
And you.
And Nicholas Hoult as Hank McCoy is not bad.
Yeah,
he's fine.
but
Xavier and Magneto have been this their dynamic. Just the characters that exist have been so interesting for 60 years.
Right.
So then you put 2 good actors and basically let them do comic book Shakespeare at each other, and it's a lot of fun. But when the movie itself would it doesn't feel like X-Men at any point.
Nah,
but you've got these.
No,
you've got a really a superpowered good guy versus superpowered bad guy. Great actors going at each other. Of course, the tension and they disagree and it's just baked into it. But when you look at it, that doesn't look like X-Men.
No,
it doesn't feel like X-Men.
That movie should have been about Magneto and Xavier recruiting the original X-Men as we know it from the comics. Throw Amanda Vogt in there. Throw Moira McTaggart not in the FBI in there.
Oh God!
Have that be a more comic accurate because Magneto, Moira, Vogt was more like an ex-girlfriend, but you know what I mean? There's a story in place, a past where these characters were dreaming the dream together.
Yeah.
Until Magneto just had one too many bad things happen and he was like, fuck humans.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we got there.
And that's what that movie could have been.
They got there, but it happened fast.
Yeah, but it's just but the way the movie we got where it's also Darwin and Banshee and
there's something to be said for the 80s X comics where you had the Sentinels walking around and stuff in the 80s and you're like, man, that looks so cool. Wolverine's fighting them. But then when you do a period piece, right? and everybody's dressed a certain way, and it's like, oh, it's like late 70s, early 80s, and then giant robots, the Sentinels show up, and you go, I don't know if that works at all.
That was so disappointing.
It was so bad.
Poor Peter Dinklage. He was trying his best.
He really was.
as
Dinklage, he got his mileage out of there. God bless him, but man, not a good film. Not a good film.
Well, I have a kind of a take on X-Men First Class is that they literally were just throwing everything they had at the wall to make a movie because they knew it was going to be their last X-Men movie. And some of the stuff resonated really well with people, and some of the stuff just didn't.
Well, sure.
And I love the movie. I think it's fantastic. But yeah, it was like okay, let's do whatever we can possibly do in this movie, and let's make it as wild as possible. And I think that's what happened.
Well,
And I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, this is great," you know.
I believe the story behind it was they were like, Matthew Vaughn, you're the guy. Tell us where this goes. And he was like, follow me, Matthew Vaughn, on this X adventure. And at no point was Matthew Vaughn like, we're going to plumb the comics and we're going to really get into it. He's like, I got it. Don't worry. Yeah. Mutant School, no problem. Watch this.
It almost makes me think that Fox said, we want you to make a movie about the origin of the X-Men. You can't use any of the X-Men we've already used.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely. Because they wanted to spin it. They wanted to do something younger and spin it and make more movies out of that. And somewhere along the process, they were like, we don't have the budget. Fox is shutting us down. Kill all these kids.
Well, and if you're gonna have new Xavier and new Magneto, they have to be 40 years younger, right? So they wanted to like, because Patrick Stewart and Ian are wonderful, but they were in their 80s. Like these are very old men playing these very old characters, and you got to start from scratch.
And man, I'll tell you what, that kid Banshee, I love that actor. He's a fantastic actor. But
I've never seen him in anything else.
He's been in a ton of other stuff. He's great in everything he's been in too. But when you put Banshee's mutant power on the screen, whether it is cartoon or live action, when he is flying, it is the dumbest shit you've ever seen. It's just like,
don't do the cone of sound down to the ground. That made it way worse.
Okay,
it's fine if he needs to scream. We know that he needs to scream. That's canon.
Right? It's so dumb.
But
I know
sound coming out of his face. No.
Oh yeah, no. I remember there was. I know a lot of people poo-poo on the original X-Men cartoon, but I do still get a chuckle out of remembering when Banshee was turning Wolverine, and all Wolverine could do was just cover his ears and say, would you please shut up?
This is just like a guy that's like literally holding you by the armpits and flying, going, like so loud that it propels him through the air.
Like, everybody, Penny Patrick's in the ziggurat.
You couldn't even, like, Banshee should not be allowed to use his powers in city areas, right? Like in populated areas where there's kids around and shit. You can't have this guy flying around screaming that loud.
I think that if they were to say, hey, look, Banshee has to scream, he has to use his powers to fly, but he does it at a subsonic level, so you can't actually hear him.
That's all they had to do, but they didn't. Right?
And he's just going,
yeah.
And Brian's right. He does talk when he flies sometimes.
Yes, he does too, actually.
Well, because
it makes no sense.
They show him shooting his voice and sort of gliding with his, like, and he goes like, blah,
yeah, maybe that's just when he's gliding. Maybe he's not yelling the entire time.
Yeah, he glides around.
Maybe can he throw his voice like a ventriloquist ahead?
Super ventriloquism.
So he talks out of the side of his mouth. Hey, everybody.
That's a secondary mutation.
Yeah. Everybody knows how much I love super ventriloquism.
Oh man. There's a meme like I want to say out there of the animated 90s X-Men of Banshee like flying off a cliff, and the voice actor literally just goes like that's what his sonic scream sounds like, just a dude yelling.
Yeah.
It's so good. Like when Black Bolt opens his mouth, that's not what it sounds like. You know, and like when Black Bolt opens his mouth, it's blah, you know, like it's a godlike noise comes out. I don't think it's just Black Belt says, you know, like go away really, really loud.
Actually, communism has some really great points. Yeah, no. No, very silly in the movie. Very, very silly in the movie. I have always loved Banshee, the comic book character, but anytime Banshee has been adapted for anything, it has been very dumb.
It just there's things that the X-Men do, and this goes back to like solo X films outside of Wolverine because of Wolverine's popularity. I can't name another X character that I would be like, hell yeah, give that character a solo film. I can't. And I don't get that excited when they have solo books. I'm not saying they're bad. I just go, well, this is going to last for a little bit. And then it's, we're not going to get 200 issues of Storm. We're not. We'll get a good Storm story, I'm sure.
Why is that the benchmark, man? Like, I don't need 200
I'm not saying it is. I'm just
anything.
saying there's a reason why we have so many issues of X-Men and so many issues of Wolverine.
And that reason is capitalism.
Well, sure. But there's also more meat on that bone. And
you're right. You're absolutely right. But I mean, when I say an ongoing series, I just mean a book that's not over in 5 issues.
Sure.
I think we can get 2-3 good years out of some of these characters and then be done and be fine. But with the X-Men, I'm hard pressed to think of one that I am like, yeah, they deserve their chance to shine.
Like, I don't want to fucking
I agree, Joe, but I think 3 years seems really achievable. But then you look at like a book like Tom Taylor and David Lopez's Wolverine book, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Laura, and like the first year is like really, really fantastic, and the art's really great, and he's like world building, and it's all this great stuff. And you get to the last, I don't know if it even made it to 30 issues. The last bunch of them, like the book's not selling. You've got these like really low quality artists, and like the stories just start to fall apart because there's like it just collapses on itself, and it's a bummer. But because that book is, I can't recommend it outright because read 12 and then be done, because it's like it's so interesting, and he did so much work to make Laura like separate from Logan and build Gabby and the little world and like all the clones, and it's really, really, really good, and it's beautiful. But then you get to the end and it's like, yikes, like
I mean, I don't know. I read all of those on Marvel Unlimited, not a couple years ago, I guess, but I read them all real quick, and so I think it reads better in a couple of sittings. So I really liked it, but I can understand the idea that it kind of falls apart if you're reading it month to month.
And it's true. Like the story is good, but like imagining someone at the store being asked to put down $4.99 for issue 22 of like a whatever Storm book. Like what, it's hard. Like, and
it is hard.
I mean, I love these characters. I've read all. I'm just looking through the new ones. I've got all the old ones. Like I've read them all, but yeah, there's not even some of those old miniseries, like the Nightcrawler miniseries. It's okay. It's not a vital read.
Yeah,
once you get like you see him swashbuckling, and it's like that's really fun. And then by issue 3, it's like I don't care. I don't
know if anyone but Brian or Matt will remember this. Damon might. But they actually did a Nightcrawler ongoing series, an ongoing series in the 2000s, in the early 2000s. And I don't remember who wrote it, but it had art by Derek Robertson. And it was this tortured, supernaturally themed. And it's like, this is not Nightcrawler, man. This is not Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler is a swashbuckler.
It was Nightcrawler Volume 2, I believe.
It was that Robert... Sakasa, who did like all the
Roberto Aguirre Sakasa.
I'm looking at a different one. This is one by Chris.
The Afterlife with Archie guy.
I'm looking at one by Chris Kipenak and Matt Smith. So would it be Nightcrawler Volume 3?
That was before, that was before the.
Because they did those. They did those Icons minis.
This one.
So I think he got one of those.
I think I found it.
So it would be Nightcrawler Volume 3. Right?
Roberto Aguirre Sarcasa and Derek Robertson. Yeah, it was this one. I remember now. I remember that cover, and I was like, "Hell yeah, let's go!" And I read the first issue and went,
"That's a Greg Land cover, by the way.
I don't need this."
And I want to point out that it's not that bad.
No, but like I think this is at that point where Greg Land hadn't gone or had not revealed himself as full Tracer.
Well,
You know?
Photoshop was not as good back then as it is in the last
Sure.
couple
Yeah.
years.
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So
20 years ago. Sure.
Yeah.
he had not lost his faculties yet and gained all the new technology. He still had to draw half the time.
Hey, look, it's Nightcrawler.
Which Nightcrawler is that? John posted. I can't tell which one that is.
Is that the sexy Nightcrawler photo?
This is
I can't tell
a
what issue
Nightcrawler issue from the Marvel Now era. Nightcrawler number 3.
this is
I don't
more
remember. They must have done another mini or something, but I don't remember it.
So this might be volume
Night Nurse was
4.
in that original series too. Forgot about that.
Oh, who even knows what that is?
Oh, that was this series. Got it. Got it. Volume
those memorable
4.
Nightcrawler miniseries.
That was
Oh,
this.
Claremont.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chris Claremont.
So may or may not count.
Oh boy.
It might be in the Claremont X-Men universe, which is completely disconnected from the regular X-Men universe, but we don't talk about it. We don't tell Chris Claremont that. We just say, oh yeah, man, this is having huge ramifications across the entire line.
Oh, Chris, you've done it again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The X-Men will never be the same.
Amanda Sefton's in
I
there.
think that's a Chris Somney cover. Yeah, Chris Somney and Matthew Wilson.
Yeah,
covers.
great cover, but it's Todd Knock inside.
Todd Knock on the inside. Yeah.
But you know, I'm sure him and Chris
Hey,
are buddies.
So that's like- that's
If Hugo liked it, that's all that really matters.
the nice
Hugo said
cover.
the art was bad.
Hugo said the artist.
Yeah.
Oh crap! Okay, well there you go.
Yeah. Now the story was bad too. I picked that up because I was like, oh shit. Claremont doing Nightcrawler and Amanda Sefton again. Like, I'm in. Let's go. And I read it and went, no. Like, done here.
That's
okay. I think it took 2.5 hours to read because Chris Claremont was like, I know I used to do this in the past. I don't really have the magic, but I know I wrote a lot. So I'm just going to write a lot in here. And maybe they'll think it's the magic's still there.
I have said this before, but when you go back and read the stuff from like the late 80s, he didn't write as much as we remember. Like people
No, you're right.
interpreting his work later did it the wrong way and they did way too much. And then it's like, oh, that's how Claremont used to write. It's like, no. Like sometimes, but like
He did, though.
Scott Lobdell did more to damage that legacy than of what the scripting was actually like than Claremont's actual scripts.
Who did?
Scott
Right.
Lobdell.
Scott Lobdell.
Oh, Lobdell.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how many of you have listened to the new show already, but we did crossovers on this week's Cosmic Long Box, and one of them was the X-Men versus the New Teen Titans from 1982, written by Chris Claremont, and I was stunned at how good the writing is.
It's great.
And it's Claremont, and it's like, oh right, this is why people love him. This is why people love him still today. It's because he was this good.
He was, but we got to a point where it's like,
It's like a law of diminishing returns.
Yeah.
Like every time there's a new Claremont, it's like, Chris, every time you come back, you just damage your legacy just a little bit more.
you know, the quarterback gets older and the passes get a little shorter, and sooner or later you're just handing it off.
At a sport.
You're just
Sports
handing it
reference,
off
sure.
for a while, and then you retire.
And you become Aaron Rodgers.
You become Aaron.
right,
You blame everyone
I'm
else.
gonna switch-
Yes.
I'm going to switch gears here since we've been talking about the X-Men a lot. Frank shared a video with me or a post with me on TikTok last night, and it is Batman dream casting, and I want to go over it with you guys.
Why don't you put the link in the chat?
Well, it's on TikTok, so I don't know if you'll
That'll
be able
work.
to see
No,
it,
you can
but,
do it. I think.
No, I just don't know if you'll be able to. I just don't know if you'll be able to see it. But yeah, hold on.
Well, you do that.
I don't know if you have to have an account.
Oh.
My point is. So I'm just gonna go through them real. Come on, man. I'm just gonna go through them real quick. Bill Skarsgård as the Joker. For those of you who don't know, Bill Skarsgård played. Did he play Pennywise?
Yeah, and he also played. Yeah, he played the Crow too.
Yeah, but he looks pretty good. He looks the part, though. I think he could be a good Joker.
I mean, sure, that just seems easy.
What? Okay, are we trying to make it difficult? I don't get it.
I'd like it to be a little more clever, maybe. I mean, like he was Pennywise, and he was
The
the
guy who
and he was the
who played
Crow.
Terrifier.
Yeah. No.
The Terrifier.
He's not the that guy. I'd be like, all right.
Nathan Jones as Bane. I don't know who Nathan Jones is.
No. None of that. Nathan Jones is a professional wrestler and not a good actor.
No.
I've seen him in
Yeah, but as Bane, put him in. If it depends on the Bane, right? If he's like.
No.
But we had an idiot Bane in Batman and Robin.
Yeah, I don't want
fair.
that.
All right, look, I don't
Bane's
know
a genius.
So
Joe,
moving on.
Bane is like a detective genius. He is like brilliant.
Yes, I know, but we've seen versions of Bane where that is not the case. But yes, I agree.
I don't want that.
Ed Harris as Mr. Freeze, which I think is brilliant.
Okay.
He's pretty old though. Have you seen Ed
What
Harris?
year is Ed Harris?
Who cares? He's
Yeah.
Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
He's a scientist. Who gives a shit?
I guess.
They put him in a suit and
He
whatever.
wears a cybernetic suit and he fights Bat. Like it doesn't matter.
Yes.
He's got orthopedic boots.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
He does wear them anyway.
Dave Bautista as Hugo Strange, which I think is pretty interesting.
Someone saw him in little glasses and was like, "He looks like Hugo Strange."
Yeah.
It's the beard as well.
These
I
are
think
pretty. These are all.
If you shaved off the mustache, he would look like Hugo Strange in this.
Yeah. And he's a good actor too. So
He's a fantastic actor. Dave Bautista,
Nicolaj
wrestling acting
Coster
career out there.
Waldau as Deathstroke. He played Jaime Lannister on Game of Thrones.
I can see that.
Why is Deathstroke in there as a Batman villain?
Because he is.
Who knows, man?
He's
Deathstroke's an everyone villain.
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac as Harvey Dent, which I think would be great. I think he'd be a great crusading district attorney, and I think he would make an awesome Two-Face. Toby Jones as the Penguin. Toby Jones, a.k.a. Arnim Zola from Captain America.
Crap. I could see
I
that.
love that idea.
That's pretty great.
He's good. He's really good.
Yeah.
He's really good.
And then Jason Statham as Black Mask. Yeah, I mean, sure.
No.
Finally,
Whatever.
No.
Yeah. It's all good.
No.
Yeah.
You got a lot of like deep-seated Black Mask opinions, Matt?
No, I've got a lot of
would
Jason
prevent you?
Statham opinions is what I've got.
He's-
All right.
He's fine.
Like,
he's fine.
Look, do you tell me Jason Statham's back in my Fast and Furious movie? Let's do it. You like, of course, that's a perfect place for him.
As Hobbs and or
But
Shaw.
I don't want him as scary,
Oh, he's Shaw.
scary, serious Black man. Like,
Just
James-
got my fingers
James-
crossed for Beekeeper too.
yeah,
Yeah. You know what? I heard the Beekeeper's great.
It's not.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
No, Joe. Nope.
James McAvoy as Mr. Zaz. That's pretty good.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's creepy.
He's a creepy dude sometimes. That works.
He already played like bald serial killer dude in those M. Night Shyamalan movies, so I
feel
can see it.
that's very like parallel to the Skarsgård as Joker casting. It's just like these guys have played these characters before, so they
Yeah.
should play them again.
This
I don't really know if that's
this is very
facts or-
wizard fan cast, like back in the 90s. That's all it is. We're like,
Absolutely.
she's
Oh,
hot.
but this is
she's
way
blonde.
this is way better than Wizard
Captain
fan
America.
cast though, where it's
I don't
just
know
like
if it
Howie
is.
Long as the Venom.
I think this
No.
is pretty
Yeah.
easy, Joe.
Captain America too.
I'm gonna get another
Howie
coffee. I'll be right
Long
back.
as Colossus. Howie Long.
Yeah, Howie Long as every character that's buff. You're right.
And
David
blonde.
Tennant for the Riddler, which I think is an interesting idea.
I actually love that idea.
be down with that. Yeah, I could be down with that.
And then Victoria Pedretti as Harley Quinn. Victoria Pedretti played Nell on The Haunting of Hill House, and also the teacher in The Haunting of Bly Manor. I don't remember the teacher's name. She's good. I don't know if she's like got that kind of manic energy, but whatever. Jessica Chastain as Poison Ivy. That doesn't seem too off base.
She is a redhead. There you go. Yeah.
I mean, look, she's sexy. She's
That's
redhead.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rami Malek as the Scarecrow.
Definitely. I
can
actually
see
love
that.
that idea.
That's the best one I've heard so far.
And then the last one is Nicolas Cage as Clayface.
Oh my God, that is the best.
Yeah.
That is
Yes.
literally
With
the
the-
best idea ever. And
One of the
over the top.
craziest expressions ever.
I'd like to
just put it
retract
out.
my earlier statement about Rami Malek.
I think that you could probably get away with doing. It depends. You could do different versions of Clayface, right? You could do the weird actor Clayface.
Yes, from the Harley Quinn.
You know,
series.
right?
Yeah.
Or from no, I don't mean the Clay monster. I mean like
Correct.
the original Clayface,
Right.
and then they kind of did a version of him in Batman: The Caped Crusader, where he had malleable
Yes.
looks, but he wasn't like a shape-changing clay monster.
That's a good-
Or you could do Nicolas Cage as shambling mud mound Clayface.
Yeah, I just want to hear
And
the screaming, like, I'm going to kill you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ian,
I love it.
Ian, what were you trying to say?
Oh, I love the idea, not to go too far with it, but I love the idea, one of the things that made the Joker, Ledger's Joker was that he had like different different origin stories, right? And I think that would be really great for Nicolas Cage's Clayface. Like, he could literally, Joe, inhabit all of those characters in the same movie with totally different performances, and I think it would work.
I agree.
Yeah.
Mark brings up a good point, and that this is a nice transition. I just thought that was a fun little thing Frank shared, and I thought that some of those were kind of neat. But he says Cage is entrenched with Sony and Marvel now through Spider-Man Noir,
right?
Which, speaking of things that I can't believe truly exist, as we were with the Wonder Man show a couple weeks ago. There's a poster for Spider-Man Noir, and there's set photos of Nicolas Cage in costume as Spider-Man Noir.
We are getting it.
God bless.
It's a thing.
And but it's comic accurate. Like, he looks like Spider-Man Noir. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't that.
I kind of wish he was animated.
Yeah,
yes, I definitely wish it was animated.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is what happened, right? It was because of that this is became made. Yes, and Nicolas Cage was Spider-Man Noir.
It's crazy to me that this weird little offshoot that Marvel did, like 15 years ago, is coming back in form of a movie. But I was always really surprised, because I thought Daredevil Noir was the best one of like the 3 or 4 they did.
It was awesome.
I really like that one. I just really stood out to me. I thought Spider-Man Noir and X-Men Noir were great, but I just thought Daredevil Noir would make like the perfect Daredevil live action.
Yeah, it was great.
Spider-Man Noir was the only one I really read, and I just remember them continuing to go back to that well. So I don't know if they were good or not.
I would also say,
I mean, people enjoy them. Like Ian obviously appreciated some of them.
Who was it?
I don't remember Daredevil Noir at all.
It was Alexander Irvine wrote it. I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, so I'm to be honest, I couldn't remember, Matt, until you said something, but I just remember being.
Oh, yeah, I remember that cover. Yeah,
how good the writing was when I initially picked them up.
It was really
Alexander
good.
Irvine, probably some novelist that Marvel got.
Hopefully, 40 years from now, we'll have so many X-Men movies. We'll be so lousy with new X-Men movies that they'll get around to X-Men Noir.
Who knows?
I like it.
We're getting close with Daredevil. They're gonna soon. They'll be like, I don't know, Daredevil Noir. Let's do like 36 episodes.
The Spidey Noir, though, that's not Sony. That's Amazon's doing it, isn't it? Or is Sony?
But I mean, it's Sony.
Sony's doing it on Amazon.
It's a series.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a series, not a movie. So
yeah,
it is on. I think on Amazon. But yeah.
There was an article about Cage earlier this week, and it was like one of those throwaway fucking, pop verse, inverse, whatever. They're like,
sure, right.
The second G.I. Joe movie's way better than you remember. Like, shut up. Get out of here.
No.
But this one was like Nicolas Cage.
Point of order: the second G.I. Joe movie is better than the first.
No, it's not.
To be fair,
okay. Objectively,
low bar to clear, Joe.
I understand. I'm just saying facts is facts.
Their statement was Nicolas.
Good. I'm saying it's better than the first one, which is garbage.
Their statement was Nicolas Cage's performance of Ghost Rider is the best performance of any actor in the Marvel universe. And I was like, get out of here. And then I started thinking about it, and I was like, that might be true.
It's certainly the most an actor has performed.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I was watching performance of any actor.
I was watching that a couple of days ago, and I was like, holy shit. He was trying.
I think that so many unnecessary I can imagine him saying to the director, I think Johnny Blaze likes to drink jelly beans out of a martini glass.
Oh, I don't think he said anything like that to the director. I think he walked in and he was Johnny Blaze
onto a hot set with a martini glass.
I think he would not answer to anything but Johnny the entire time. I'll bet. I'll bet the PAs were scared of him, like full on. He's stuck as Ghost Rider right now, and that's all he can do is be the Ghost Rider. Like whoa, like Mr. Cage, you're scaring children.
It's so funny.
No matter what happens, don't stop filming. Don't stop filming.
Yeah, right. Did you get that? Did you get that?
Yeah.
Right. We'll CGI the skull on top of him. Did you get that?
This is straight up Bill the Butcher in Gangs of New York, where it's just like, oh God, don't let him near his family right now,
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that article. Somebody posted it in the Discord, I think.
I did, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a hot take.
and it is a hot take for certain.
I will give you though, there was not a scene where I don't believe that Nicolas Cage was sweating through his pants in that film, where it just like vibrating with kinetic acting ability.
Well, you know, the thing that I thought was funniest about the article is that on that website they have like exclusive things that you have to like pay for, and that was one of them. Like, that's not. You want me to sign up?
That's a paywall article. Come on.
Yeah, no, thank you. That made it extra hot. Like, oof.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah,
all right.
You know what? The headline is all you need. So thanks a lot for doing our job, doing your job too well.
Yeah.
None of us have read it, but we are talking about it.
Well, maybe they dialed down the AI that day a little bit or something. I don't know. Or they're not investing as much in the Netflix just quietly released the whatever. You know, like, stop quietly doing shit. I'm so sick of these headlines. Like, Wolverine just quietly became an Omega mutant in the pit. Shut up! Like, no, he didn't.
Yeah, no.
It's like Screen Crush constantly does this shit where
I assure you, they're not doing it quietly. We get press releases about every single
no. But what I'm
thing.
saying is they are covering whatever the hell they can to invent news.
No, I know.
So there is some Marvel
miniseries
miniseries that is not set in continuity, that has nothing to do with anything that's going on in the regular Marvel universe. It's like a mirror universe or some shit, or Venom War in a different dimension, and Peter Parker gets killed. And Screen Crush is like, Venom just murdered Peter Parker in the Marvel universe, revealing he is the ultimate spider. Like, no. That is not what
happened. Yeah. No, I totally agree. It's ridiculous.
Like, stop it.
And they're just like, they're desperate for content. Like, Newsarama updates maybe twice a day. And so their articles are such reaches all the damn time.
Yeah.
You mean Games Radar?
Games Radar, sure, yeah. There's not enough dramatic news in the comics universe for Newsarama to justify its own existence.
No, of course not.
And so their article, and that's where we get articles like hey, you remember Galacta, daughter of Galactus? Us neither. Here's an article about it.
Yeah. No, but I like to think they're not paying someone who has any experience reading comics to cover comics. And they just walked over and they're like, well, your comics budget for this week was $12. So here's 3 comics. Read them and write something about them. And they just randomly grabbed like 3 books and threw them down. Yeah. And someone's like, oh shit, this Galacta, she sounds like she must be a big deal. Let's write an article about her. Oh, God.
Yeah. It's like they must be thrilled every time there is a solicitation reveal, because we get 2 articles, 3 articles, 4 articles that are like, here's every single Batman comic coming out in December.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Okay. Who cares?
All right, before we get out of here, we get Dune Prophecy this week.
Oh boy, I could not care
Set 10,000 years in the past. The Rise of the Bene Gesserit. I can't wait for this. It's the same.
Joe, excuse me. I just your blatant disregard. I'm currently finishing up the 6th Frank Herbert book. I've been reading Dune for a year and a half now. And Joe, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care either.
I think this show's going to be.
I mean, don't take my word for it. I hate the Dark Crystal. Right,
I think this show's going to be amazing. I can't wait.
Right, Jimbo. But
the show is not going to be amazing.
I have nothing against it at all. I'm like, this is a personal thing. I am not interested in the deep origins of the Dune universe. I'm just not.
Matt, what's it about?
So it's the rise of the House of the Bene Gesserit. It's like where they came from, how they got to be as powerful as they are. Like, what set that in motion?
I mean, but you could say that like Star Wars is about the beginning of the fall of the Empire, but that's not really what it's about. Like,
no,
what's the plot?
So the plot is when they decided they were going to set things in motion for Paul Atreides to do his thing 10,000 years later.
But they don't want Paul
Literally.
Atreides to do
They
it.
don't want Paul.
Bene Gesserit
They don't
were
want
against
it.
Paul Atreides
They don't
doing
want it to
so.
happen the
See,
way
this is
that
my
it.
problem is, as someone who's read almost all of the books, or all of the Frank Herbert books, I can't tell what this is about. It just seems like Game of Thrones in space.
Sort of, but here's the thing. I agree with you. They don't want Paul Atreides to do it the way that he's doing it, but they didn't know that would happen that way. Right? They set things in motion and they were very careful about how they're moving everything and how it was going to be, putting themselves in different places to ensure this happens, and it still went wrong. So this is how that starts. I'm very interested. And it's the same film crew.
I'm with you. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it day one, but my expectations are incredibly low because I try not to be a cynic about this stuff, but I just feel like what's going on here is we need to make more money off of the Dune franchise, and we can't touch any of the fucking characters in the original 6 books.
I mean, sure.
So let's just grab a Brian Herbert book, and then the tagline is going to be 10,000 years before the birth of Paul Atreides. Make it look like Game of Thrones, and guess what? We got a sale.
I would also argue this is a great way for them to maintain the entire production cast, keep them working, so they're all getting paychecks and they can be used when we're filming, in between filming this one and the next one. And if you've got a story that's interesting.
The crew, you mean, right?
Yeah, because it is the entire crew.
I am susceptible to that argument because that was one of the reasons I liked Beetlejuice, was because I was just happy that a bunch of actors I like were getting paid.
Sure. And and I don't mind when they do something like this where they are using that crew. And yes, I agree, they're fleshing shit out or whatever, but it's everybody that was attached to the 2 movies that we friggin' loved. It is overseen and produced by the director of the 2 movies that we've seen and loved. So I will
be the first.
I have high hopes for this. I have very high hopes.
But I have the same opinion though about a lot of these sorts of projects. Like, I also don't care about House of the Dragon. I don't care about Rings of Power. I'm not interested in prequel stories that exist so far back that nothing I care about is going on.
You've heard the Patton Oswalt bit about Django, like Boba Fett, right?
Sure. They go, you like Boba Fett?
Joe, that's. I mean, I feel the same way a lot of the times too. Like, I don't care where fucking Boba Fett came from.
Okay, and it makes me think. It reminds me of things that I know Brian has said. Yeah. Okay, Mark. Counterpoint. Knights of the Old Republic. Sure. But but Knights of the Old Republic is a video game, and I'm playing that video game, and I'm having a fun experience playing the game. That's a little bit different to me. Like, if there was a kick-ass Dune prequel video game, then sure, I'm into it. I'll try it. But I don't really care about watching, especially when it's like the most expensive TV show ever made, Rings of Power. And it's just like, I don't care. There are so many other things that we could be spending our money on. Like, I've heard Brian said it in this very episode. It's like, why are we doing these? Why aren't we doing new things?
So I'll agree with you to a point, but I'll say this. I think it's less about what is a prequel and what is not a prequel.
Yes.
And does the story deserve to stand on its own? Right? Because I feel like again, like, if you want to take the Star Wars prequels, like, so much of that felt like, well, the story we're telling here has to set up the movies you've seen 100 times.
Right.
And it's like, that's not effective storytelling. Like, like Knights of the Old Republic is a good story, right? Like,
it's its own story that has nothing to do with any other story. Same with, love it or hate it. Same with Star Wars: The Acolyte. It's its own thing. And so, like, I can justify stuff like that. I don't care about Dune Prophecy. I don't.
I mean, that's fine. You don't have to. It is a standalone story based on a book called Sisterhood of Dune.
I don't care about House of the Dragon. I don't want to hear about the origin of the.
But I would argue
Targaryen. I don't care
that you can. It may have been better for Star Wars to set their prequels way further back than giving us baby Boba Fett, baby Darth Vader. Like shit like that. Like, who cares? And if you could have done
it a million times, I want a Star Wars movie about them figuring out how to build the first lightsaber.
Yeah, exactly.
I want an Star Wars arms race movie about, we figured out there are these crystals and they could be the weapon we've all been looking for.
Yeah. Like, the origins of how this got started, because, like, look, all the prequels had to do was show us, well, what are the rebels fighting? Like, what are they rebelling against? And we're like, oh yeah, there was a trade blockade, and there was like this whole robot economy and shit. And like, wait a minute, what?
your first two characters, two of your first characters in the movies are senators.
Yeah,
okay, I'm not.
Yeah.
This isn't really.
It's like you came to see, you
Very
came for
racist
Star Wars,
caricatures
but
at that,
stay
right?
for the C-SPAN.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey kids, hope you like Process. This is going to be amazing. Want to watch how a
if you
bill
love
gets
trade embargoes, have I got the movie for you?
Woo, it's
Here's
somewhere
one thing, if
between
you like Star Wars, you like legislation.
Right.
We all know it.
somewhere between CNBC and C-SPAN lies Star Wars. You're like, God, no.
I think George Lucas was like, I made there was a political backbone to the first trilogy. What if I just put all that in the forefront? That would be better, right?
Sure.
Okay,
It's like,
and
what if young Anakin's famous line was, instead of "now this is pod racing," it's like, "now this is gerrymandering." Stop it.
And that's what Andor
Now, this
did
is what I call
so.
representative democracy.
That's what Andor did so much better. Andor was like, you know
Andor,
why there's a rebellion? Because life sucked. Because life fucking sucked. The Empire were a bunch of jerks. And they came in and they said, we're all going to live this way and we're doing it this way. And it was really good for the rich people in charge that wanted to maintain power, and really bad for poor people in the cities that bang on giant gongs on the top of towers and shit like that. Right? Like, got it. That's all you had to do.
This is unfortunately very topical, by the way, Matt.
Right. I mean, I couldn't help it, but yes, sorry. There's a little something boiling up in me right now. You'll excuse me.
But I mean, like, look, and so I guess
I will be banging on the
caveat
thing in a tower, and you'll see it in the news next week. So
sure. A caveat, I suppose, to the thing that I said about not caring is like, if it looks like they're going to give me an interesting story on the fringes that kind of fills in a gap that I thought needed to be filled in, like Andor or like Rogue One, I'm all for it. But if it's just going to be like, hey, you like the chick with white hair, right? How about her great-great-great-grandfather?
Well, sure. I mean, I don't want something that sucks.
I don't want to. I don't care.
I mean, yeah, I'll give you that. But like, look, I'm gonna watch this rather than The Golden Bachelor or whatever. So, I mean, I'll take this.
Well, I'll watch that. It's not an either or situation.
Like
you don't have to watch either.
I have been watching TV. The Golden Bachelor, is that like a piss fetish thing, or what is that?
Nah,
It's senior
it's
citizens.
The Bachelor for old
That makes
people.
more sense.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're in their 50s. And
All right,
over.
we're over time.
Well, I mean, I thought there was a possibility because they already have the human trafficking dating show, 90 Day Fiance. So I just kind of figured they would get
definitely.
really
It's just a
dirty
matter
with
of
That's on cable, Ian. The Golden Bachelor's on ABC. It's on basic. It's on network TV.
It's just a matter of time before we get
probably not a piss theme.
90 Day Fiance vivisectionist or 90 Day Fiance cannibals or some shit. Like, it's coming.
Give it some time.
90 Day Fiance. I woke up in a bathtub missing my kidneys.
Right.
You know, that kind of thing.
All right, we're over time. I got to get out of here.
90 Day Fiance true crime. They just skip the middleman. They just go right from
Sure. Exactly.
If you guys want to hang, keep hanging. I got to go. I got to feed a hungry wife. But this is a good time.
All right.
Love you guys.
Just